Let's go. Welcome to the QB School Show. A little special live, midweek live. Do it live, a little June style. I like it. Excited to be locked in, ready to go. Hopefully everyone had a nice little holiday if you're in the States. We got Thomas checking in. Let's go. Coach Grays. Bruh. Appreciate it. Zachary Davis. Jesus. Chavez III. I like it. Good to see some familiar faces. Hope all is well. Coach Grays, y'all ramping up. A little summer ball ready to go. It's that time of year. June. Football. It's here. The season has begun, whether you like it or not. Jaden Scott, what's good? Now is the time, y'all. Any questions? Ball. This is that time of year where I feel like it's everyone's on to the next. Everyone's feeling good. Everyone's trying to either get better, develop their squad, develop what they've got going on, improve their understanding. Fun time to just dive in and talk some general universal ball. So now is the time. Mike Husky, what's good? Yes, sir. Nice. Take a little SAT break. It's that time of year too. Standardized testing. It's back this year, I think. I don't know necessarily for sure if that's true, but I'm going to guess that it is after a little hiatus. Guillermo, what's good? GZ. I'm excited. Got some De'Ara King coming out tomorrow. Not sure exactly what I'm going to do Friday-wise. Maybe X's and O's. Maybe some different iteration of a Life in the League video. But June is a fun time to just dive into whatever is interesting. So if you have ideas for a video, now's the time to share them. Get me to make sure I see them right here. Adrian Robbins, what's good? Dustin Price. Get my first start Saturday for Arena Ball. Just want to say thanks. I've learned everything watching your channel. Dustin, best of luck. That's exciting. A little Arena Ball happens fast. Small little area. I'm excited for you. That's great. David F.A. Did you watch the videos of Ohio State 5-star QB commit? No. Did anyone? jparko7 Gmail. We got to work on the name. Let's see if the question is better than the name. Does Lance limit any of Shanahan's playbook? No, I don't have to go any further. What's in the cup, Coach? Godbell. This is a Trident Nitro coffee. I think I might have shown the can the last time, but it's a semi-local, like cold brew nitro coffee out here. Zachary Davis, what do we got? Coach, do you install your playbook during the summertime and ride with it, or do you modify week to week during the season? Zachary, that is a good question. And like most good questions, the answer is yes, and both. We install over the summer. I try, my just personal philosophy is to just, I didn't come up with this. I think this is just how everybody does it. You install it in spring, you install it in summer, you install it in camp. So by the time you're into the season, even the new players have had everything installed multiple times. So obviously got a condensed spring out here in California with the spring season. So we'll jump right into the summer installation, install it again in camp. And then really it's up to the players and the execution level to see how much we carry and see what we major in. The kind of what I like the most, and not the most, many things I like about the offense. One of them is just the flexibility to adapt to the personnel. So if we're strong in one area, we'll lean heavy in that personnel, those types of schemes that they execute at a high level. It's not necessarily tethered to me being like must run inside zone all the time, or, you know, must run whatever, buck. I think it's dependent on what we're good at, and hopefully the coaches can put the right players in the best spots and for that to be successful. But we certainly intentionally install it multiple times. I have kind of a laid out kind of critical path that I like to get through. but many times I just won't be, or we won't be happy with the execution level, and we'll just push back the next installation, and we'll just re-practice the same script or re-practice the same concepts. And so nothing is like hard in cement. Like I've never been we're a 3 install day, a 5 install day. There's nothing like that. It's mostly, hey, do we feel like we got a decent grasp of this? Did we execute it at a high level? Can we add? And so the more that we can add, the more that we'll carry. And I kind of try to put it on the players to be able to, if they want to carry a lot and want to have different options, then they've got to prove that they can execute it at a high level consistently, and we go from there. But it's certainly intentional in the summer to make sure that we try to install everything. Nice. Adrian Robbins. Good luck. Got an interview today with the OC job. Coach with coffee, right on cue, coach. Oh, man. Daniel, my man Tatis, is he back in today? I heard he had like a hurdy side yesterday. God, the guy is fun to watch, but man, just want him to stay healthy. Just crushed May. Again, for all you people who aren't yet on the wagon. Don't worry, it'll get there in like November, hopefully. Coach Grays, do your players participate in 7-on-7? If so, do they play in a league or tournaments? What's the benefit? Do you try new pass concepts on 7-on-7? Ooh, there's a lot there, Coach. Let me see if I can go through the first one. Do your players participate in 7-on-7? Yes. We probably have a handful of people in the past that have also played on not just our school, but like travel 7-on-7s. I personally don't have anything to do with any travel on 7-7 things, but if players want to do it and have the means to do it, I certainly don't kind of try to talk them out of it. I just want them to know that I think that our school 7-on-7 is a priority as far as attendance. And if you want to touch the ball, you should be at all of our functions and workouts. But again, don't tell anybody that they can't do it if they want to. Do they play in any a league or tournaments? We have in San Diego, or at least we participate in a, I wouldn't call it a league. I guess you would call it, it's a group of schools that collectively decide to play each other. I guess that qualifies as a league, but like I don't keep score. I don't know if people do keep score. I'm sure they do. So in that regard, I guess it is sort of a league, but it's not like the same formal league that we would play, in the fall. It's mostly, how I understand it is, hey, do you want to participate in the 7-on-7 quote unquote league? And then every week someone will rotate hosting. So yes, I guess we do kind of play in a league. There also are tournaments out here. We're not doing any this year. In fact, I don't think many of the colleges are holding them. In the past, we have done them. I have mixed feelings about the 7-on-7 things. I think it's fun to compete. I also think that a number of schools that I personally have seen and played against, I feel like aren't really their true DNA as far as how they play in the fall doesn't necessarily translate into their play calling and execution in the summer. And what I mean by that is just, and I get it, you're going to throw every play in 7-on-7. Some of these schools, I feel like, don't major in that, the passing concepts that they show and the passing and the defenses that they show in the 7-on-7. So I do think that there is a kind of wash when it comes to the benefits of it. I think it's good to compete. I think it's fun to compete. I think it's fun to compete against other schools. I think it's fun to try certain things and the execution and the read of it. But I also realize that, very few times are you going to have a clean pocket where you're going 1, 2, 3 on every single play and those types of things. So it doesn't really translate consistently for me on at least the level of football that I've seen at the high school level in the fall on Fridays. But I still think it's fun, and I still think that you have to do it. And I think that there can be significant benefits to the passing game as far as the timing, the precision, the execution, all those types of things. But there's still gaps as far as the realistic nature, specifically playing quarterback, just about the level of comfort. But I think you can work on the timing things, the accuracy things, those types of things, but still really not football. Did I get through all of them? Do we try out any new passing concepts in 7-on-7? Pretty rarely. There will be like very rarely would I can't even, I'm sure I have just drawn things up, specifically like in the tournament setting where they are keeping track and we got to win or we got to score maybe. But I try to major in things that we do, and I try to have it tethered to where we're at in the installation, right? So like, I think we have a 7-on-7 league thing next week. Well, we will have only installed like a fifth of what we do offensively. So we're going to be a little limited. I'm not going to go out now. Could I call anything and the first group could probably run it? Yes. But that's not really what we're trying to do. I want to stay within the lane of kind of where we're at with the installation process. Coffee with coach. This is a good question. How involved are you with the youth league around your area? You see all these viral videos of just poor coaching down there. It's ugly. I don't know if I've seen. I know the drill. I think you're probably talking about that. I've seen the video of. I'm not involved that much. I would say I was very intentional when I first took the job to make sure the program had a connection to the quote unquote like feeder or youth Pop Warner program out here, and was very intentional with cultivating that relationship, and still think it's very important. And or I was never part of the Pop Warner kind of world, and it feels like a lot of the leagues, at least around here, are struggling for numbers and are kind of, you know, getting gobbled up by other leagues, and there's no real direct kind of pipeline. So I try to be intentional with at least building the relationship with the coaches. But, you know, am I out there watching the Pop Warner games on Saturdays? Probably not. No. Daniel, yo JT, I'm from California and didn't end up having a season. Really? I want to play next level, but I don't have enough varsity film. Any tips to get noticed for guys like me? Do you know of any Cali camps? I definitely don't off the top of my head, Daniel. That's a bummer. I think that there are still opportunities as far as, you know, whether you're willing to, what level of collegiate football you're looking to play. I personally think that you can find great football at all levels, when that's community college, Division III, Division II. Now there aren't a whole lot of Division III, Division II opportunities in California specifically, but if you're willing to travel and kind of go out of state and you have the means to do that, there certainly are opportunities to play at the next level. It's unfortunate as far as it's not just that you don't have the film, it's also what happened at the higher levels of the NCAA basically gifting another season to every single person. So the numbers are cramped from both ends, and it's unfortunate. It's probably going to take years for it to play itself out across intercollegiate athletics as far as what that extra year eligibility did. But the seniors this year really got kind of smashed from both sides as far as the opportunities specifically to play immediately and get some sort of aid to play college football, in my opinion. So just rough on all fronts. I don't know specifically if there are any camps for people that are kind of transitioning out of post-secondary into collegiate football or collegiate eligibility. But I'm some camps I feel like do allow rising seniors to come to. I don't really recall off the top of my head. I'm guessing the camp scene is back on this summer. I don't know for sure. It's never been my jam per se, but I would just continue to look for as many opportunities as you possibly can, but then just keep an open mind as far as what level of football you're going to, and just understanding what the kind of financial implications are at those different tiers. Edge Sanity coming in hot. We'll circle back in 5 years. Let me know how you feel. Marty, we'll go with Poom. I'm guessing the Poom. Hey JT, how to enhance field vision? Wide receivers in our team feel the field differently than QB. How to get them on the same page? Marty, is this coming from a coach perspective or a player perspective? Because I think if it's player perspective, you can generate a lot of that feel just by going out and working and getting your reps together. I know it's hard if it's, what I think of as like a run and shoot type thing where everything is based off what the defense is doing. But I'm a big fan of putting trash cans out there, putting obstacles to feel what that space feels like, to just work on the timing and precision of what they're trying to do. Now, if it's a coach perspective, I think it's a little bit harder because you have to generate those kind of feel situations in some sort of safe environment, meaning that we're not going out there hitting, blasting people during the summer, but we're still getting our work in, whether it's half line, whether it's, having coaches stand out there and be the stationary targets, or playing defense, or showing the shell, or we're making those types of rotational reads. So I think that there are some ways to do it, but the other part that I would push back if it was a coach perspective is just take that shit out. We don't do a whole lot. I'm trying to think. We definitely have some option elements or read things where guys have options to do certain things. But as far as a holistic principle of the offense, specifically in the passing game, I probably lean a little bit more towards the precision of knowing exactly where the wide receiver is supposed to be, when he's supposed to be there, versus the, hey, go up and get open, around this depth. Like, I don't like that type of offense. I like to be able to throw with some anticipation, to teach anticipation, to work towards that. That is, not dependent on what the defense is going to do, but what we're going to do offensively to kind of instill our will on the defense, if that makes sense. Michael, what's good? Appreciate everybody checking in. Crush that like if you haven't already. 51 of our closest friends hanging out. Boom. Griff talks football, coming in hot again with the play action concept with a pulling guard. Yeah, I mean, I like the long trap play action that, I think the Colts and the Patriots made famous. I think the Crimson Tigers, the Alabama Crimson Tide have made a little bit more famous recently. I see it, Peter. The play action thing for me is really dependent on what the offensive line can handle in that pass protection. I would love to be able to pull guards to get better play action looks and feel, but it's not always easy to pull and pass pro. It just isn't. So if we don't have people that can do that well, we're not going to do it. And, I personally love any sort of time where you can get a pulling guard and take a shot down the field, because I feel like it really influences that underneath secondary linebacker level type defender. But again, for me, it's always the pass protection is the priority. So if we can only handle kind of like a full slide or a naked or a movement sprint out, then that's what we're going to be bounded to because of how we can protect. Peter Wilson, appreciate the super chat. Would you ever do a video about the triple option QB option run game? I'd love to hear your perspective on the quarterback run game. Ooh, Peter. So one of the next two courses is going to be quarterback run game. Now, I can't promise that there will be much triple option. There will probably be some option. I personally have never run the triple option, never been around the triple option, have a decent outsider understanding of what the triple option is, but I don't pretend to be the expert or know damn near anything about the nuances of that type of stuff. I'm trying to think if I've ever even run the triple option. Yeah, like on a scout team maybe. Now I have a little bit of experience with like the speed and load option, which I think is a little bit more, a little bit easier to just install as a one-off. But I love the quarterback run game. I think you almost have to do it nowadays at damn near every level, but even on Sundays, you have to do it in the red area just because it evens out the numbers. It adds in a gap. It makes, gives you a little bit more kind of an offensive, strategic advantage because you do get that extra blocker in there. It makes life a little bit more difficult for the defense. But I really like it. I think that there are so many cool ways to be able to do it. In fact, in tomorrow's video, De'Aaron King in Miami, they have a couple nice kind of designed quarterback runs that I really liked watching. My man Michael. Peter Wilson, you played in the Flexbone system in college? Did you have a face mask? That's awesome. Simon, I don't know, man. Which current NFL quarterback is most similar to you? Probably not. And that's not because I was good. I think it's more the opposite. Nacho Ventura. Hello, JT. Did you see somewhat of an NFL? Did you see somewhat of an NFL Europe is back this season? Teams like Frankfurt Universe, Barcelona Dragons are back. What do you think of the chances of football in Europe? Nacho, I did not see that. I've always thought that the Galaxy still had a presence over there in a league. I don't pretend to know the details of what's going on with European American football, but I think it would be great. I know a lot of guys that went over there to play, whether it was in Vienna or Spain, Austria, Germany, and I think the vast majority of us had great experiences. So I'm fascinated to see it continue to grow. Hopefully it does. I do think it is a bit of a tough sell internationally, but I think that the league could do a better job of making kind of the lower levels coaching, teaching, playing a little bit more of a priority to help grow the game on the global footprint, but we'll see. Simon, is there anything besides playing the games that practice squad players are not allowed to do that players on the roster are? Not allowed to do. I'm sure that there are. I don't know what they are off the top of my head. I think the vast majority of practice squad players, at least when I was on the practice squad, did not travel. They probably thought of that as a benefit to be able to stay back and kind of like party for the weekend. But I think I did travel when I was on the practice squad, which almost made it worse because you're traveling to not play, but it's just me. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. Let me know if you think of anything. So yeah, I feel like you guys got more information than I do about the European football. I really don't. I tend to have the knowledge of what's going on over there right now. All right, what else we got here? Oh, Daniel, yo JT, you said in the past that you worked at Elite 11. Can you briefly talk about that experience, the player skill levels, the tryout process, and the big names? Thanks. Daniel, yes, I did do the Elite 11. I want to say it was the Elite 11 2, so it was still very, very new. How did it happen? One of my college linebacker coach, Tony Franks, who is, I think, the longtime head coach at St. Mary's Stockton now in Northern California, dynasty up there. He had the recruiting area, I think, of Orange County, and Orange County in that recruiting area had a longtime head coach. God, why can't I think of the school? I want to say Santa Margarita. The guy's name was Bob Johnson. Both his kids played high levels of football. I think his oldest son played at UCLA, if I can remember, or a old son played at UCLA, and then a younger son, Rob Johnson, I think he played at USC. Definitely for the Bills. He and Doug Flutie competed there for a little bit. So they knew each other, and somehow Tony got me invited down there. I think Bob, in my opinion, helped start the Elite 11, or he ran the on-field stuff for the Elite 11 at that point. I forget exactly how it worked. Before it was like super, super big time like it is now. It was still big time back then. I want to say it was associated with like Cal High Sports maybe. But who the other quarterbacks were, let me see if I can remember. Carson Palmer. Jordan was like a ball boy. Just because he was young. David Carr. Kurt Kittner. Rohan Davey, Jonathan Smith, the head coach at Oregon State. Who else was there? I think that was it. So we were the counselors, the college quarterbacks. I was going into my senior year last year at college. And the quarterbacks, there were a lot of guys that I ended up playing with. I'm going to struggle to remember their names. Jamarcus Russell was a super young guy. I think he was like 14 there. I just remember him playing basketball, seeing him play basketball, thinking this dude is a freak of freak athletes. There were a bunch of guys that went on, obviously 5-star guys that had good college careers. I don't know if anybody ever went on and had like a big time NFL career that wasn't a counselor. Maybe like Trent Edwards is another name that I remember. I think he went to Stanford. I'm sure there were others from that year, but it was a fun process. It was fun just to compete against other guys. I didn't know anything. It was before David Carr really took off. It was nice to know those guys a little bit, because then you go through the draft cycle kind of with them, or seeing their names to know kind of exactly what you're going up against. But it's just a lot of on-field drills and some competition elements at the end that are stories for another time. But it was fun. I think it's really cool to be a very, very small piece of kind of the lore of Elite 11. Kelly Wilson. JT, do you have any recommendations for a camp for the first year high school player to attend? Kelly, I'm probably not the best person to like give good advice about the camp scene. I honestly legitimately don't know anything about, I just haven't been a part of it. I will tell you that one person in the space that I know personally that I really think that they do a good job is Jordan Palmer. I think his camps are called like the Summit, QB Summit. I don't know where they are specifically. I'm sure they're all over the West Coast. So if that's an option, I can for sure recommend that. But I'm sure there are really good camps. In fact, I would say if you have the means, certainly go to as many camps as you possibly can. Not because you're going to get recruited per se, more just to hear other people's opinions, get an evaluation, get feedback, see what another coach says, ask for real candor feedback. I remember I went to the Washington Huskies camp when I was going to be a rising senior in high school. Really wanted to go to Washington. I don't know why. Went to the camp. The quarterback coach had the group of guys who are going to be seniors. That's I guess if they used it at all for recruiting. And his name was Bill Diedrich, and he told me that I was too small to play college football. No, too small to play Division I college football. And Bill bounced around. He ends up now living in San Diego. I've actually had lunch with him randomly with other quarterback friends, and I brought it up to him that if he remembers telling me that I ended up being too small to play college football, but I ended up running into him a couple times. I think in the league, or maybe he was at Notre Dame when I was still in the league, but we crossed paths. Quarterback's a small world, man. You meet people at these camps and compete against people. It's the same people you're going to see on Sundays, same people you're going to see on Saturdays. It's a small world. So Jaden Scott, I like this question. Do you run any unbalanced formations in your offense or no? Jaden Scott, what do you mean by unbalanced? Because to me, unbalanced means different things to different people. The answer is yes. To me, when I hear unbalanced, I think of more offensive linemen being in unorthodox positions, like a right guard going to the left side or vice versa. A lot of people call unbalanced when you have like a 0x4 formation, or you have a wide receiver not in their normal spot, like on the opposite side of the field. We do both. I probably could do more of both, but it's one of those things where in the run game, I think it's a little bit easier. And in some of the pass game can be easier depending on what the protection is, to have guys flip-flop if they're doing universal rules. And what I mean by that is if the rule doesn't change for where you're playing on the offensive line, then it's easier in the pass pro run game world, but it really is kind of scheme dependent. Boom, Capella. Hilarious. It would have to be a pretty good offer. No offers yet. I appreciate the support though. There you go, Michael. See, appreciate it. Should give Jordan some love on here. Marty Poom. As in every position in sports, through past 10 years, we've seen that single skill set isn't enough anymore. Like an NBA all-around guys, are more valued. Will it affect NFL more deeply soon also? I mean, I feel like that's always been an element of all levels of professional sports, right? Like you see, I think of like New England as cultivating guys who can play multiple positions. You're more valuable by the more you can do. Although in the league, there's a saying that the more you can do, the more they'll ask you to do, and the less they'll pay you for it. But it's a little tongue in cheek, but a little serious too, I guess, for like the utility guys, kind of like special teams guys versus a super skilled, left tackle or wide receiver or, quarterback. Zachary Davis. Let's see what you got here. JT, why is a QB's steps in his drop so important to the timing of the offense? How does misstepping or overstep affect the timing on the offensive passing system? Zachary Davis. It's an outstanding question. So the reason that the quarterback's drops are so important in many what I would consider timing or precision offenses, where depths are really important and you have to throw with anticipation into tight windows, is because the depth of the drop correlates to the depth of the read and the timing of the read. So if my first throw is right around 10 yards, that times up with a quarterback usually getting a shotgun step and taking 3 steps. So someone to run in a straight line as fast as they can, 10 yards, is just about 3 and a hitch or 3 and a reset from gun. So if I don't do 3 and a reset, if I do 5 and a reset or 5 and a hitch or catch it and I'm just ready to throw right away, I'm either going to be early or late. And that's going to distort the read because most of the reads are tethered to the footwork. So the first read is kind of right when that quarterback is, whatever the drop is, that first hitch or reset. The next one is usually built off that. So if that first read isn't there, usually with a hitch or reset, the next route will be developing or be coming into that space on that time. So everything is layered together for the timing of the quarterback's footwork. And what I always tell our quarterbacks and even wide receivers is the quarterback never has any sort of bump coverage. So the things that can distort a precision time passing game is any sort of bump coverage. You come up and get jammed at the line of scrimmage. Well, what does that mean? What does that do to your time clock? Because the quarterback doesn't have a cornerback back there kind of like jacking him at the line of scrimmage. So wide receivers have to understand the timing and precision. And again, not every offense is like this. I like taking shots at the air raid guys because they have a good sense of humor, but a lot of their stuff is a little bit looser as far as the drop and the timing and throwing to grass and space and buying time in the pocket, those types of things that maybe you don't see at other levels of football that are really tethered to precision, anticipation. 3rd and 8, you're running a 10-yard route. I need to throw it on 3 and no hitch because I've got 0 pressure coming my way and I'm bailing, but I know the time clock, those types of things that I think allow you to be more successful, more consistent. It doesn't mean that there aren't other ways to do it, but that's just how I prefer to operate, to at least be able to have answers to whatever you're going to see on the back end and the front end as far as pressure and pass protection, those types of things. So that's the main issue about why the quarterback's footwork is so important, and we don't allow recess drops to basically do whatever the hell you want, because everything is built on timing, depth, matching up with the eligibles down the field. Boom. D-Town. What's good? Bruh. You've always been fair, and I like that. We all know Jared Goff isn't the greatest, but why do you think he gets so much hate? I don't know. D-Town, how do you type with the first letter of every word capitalized? That doesn't hurt your eyes? Maybe I'm just sensitive. Why do I think he gets so much hate? I think he gets so much hate because he was the number 1 pick of the draft and probably doesn't play and doesn't have the skill set associated with most number 1 picks in the draft. That's the main reason. The other reason, I think, is because when you turn on the film of the Rams, it feels like some of the throws that he makes are limited. Like he only goes up to a certain club as far as being able to drive the ball down the field consistently. Now, if that's fair or not, I don't know. We'll see when he goes to a different place, but I think it's going to be very difficult to win consistently right away in that organization that he just got traded to. But I'm hoping he finds a way. Ooh, Michael, I like this one. Why are condensed formations popular now? Doesn't that make it easier for the defense to cover the reduced area? Yes and no. I would push back to the popular now. I feel like people have always done them. They might be a little bit more popular now, but I mean, I certainly remember doing a lot of condensed 2x2 formations, a lot of bunch formations when I was playing at different levels, really. I think you do it for different reasons. I think the easiest way to explain it for me would be we want to get condensed to attack and get wider spaces outside in the passing game and be able to capture the edge maybe a little bit easier in the run game. And then just the opposite, right? Sometimes you spread out to be able to attack inside, be able to create bigger windows, bigger lanes inside. A little counterintuitive in that regard for me. So again, condensed splits allow you to get outside quicker. So maybe some play action down the field with some overs, maybe some flats, maybe some corners, some smashes, where you do get those, you can attack those wider areas with a little bit more space, with more eligibles going in that direction. And then conversely, you widen out to spread the defense out to be able to then run inside. So it doesn't always work that way, but I think universally that's kind of the way that I think about why I see a lot of teams line up in those condensed edges. There you go, Michael. Pumping out Jordan. I like it. What else we got here? Hit me with some. Now's the time for some like universal questions, football wise. If you got any as far as development, summertime, those workouts, what it looks like. This is always the time I always think for players specifically. You know, you obviously have to go to the workouts. You have to go to your training sessions, whatever your team is doing, your whatever. But this is a great time to work your craft. You know, quarterback wise, whether it's footwork, whether it's mastering your offense, whether it's, you know, zooming with your coach, whether it's finding time to get out there with your wide receivers, all those types of things. This is the time where you can really separate yourself in your program and take it to the next level, which I think it's fun, but it's, you got to do the work, and it really starts before June, but June I feel like is the time where everybody starts ramping it up because we get closer and closer to ball. Zachariah Dama, what's the most important factor you want to see when evaluating a quarterback? There isn't one factor. I think the first factor that is the most obvious to me is just accuracy. I don't think that's a hot take by any means. And consistency within that space too. Not just, hey, had a nice drive, but more like had a nice season, had a nice, package of games, those types of things. Dylan. Stephen LeBlanc. Bro, I have a whole video on that book, I think. Yes, I do have that. Do a couple more of these. We'll sign off for a nice little Wednesday. Dylan, if your son or daughter was looking to play football, would you advise them to play QB first or skill position before learning the ins and outs of the game? Oh, excuse me, Dylan. I would encourage them to go be the best football player that they could be. And that wouldn't be necessarily to football or any other sport. I wouldn't have any expectations about what position they would play. I would tell them to go in there and have a great attitude, be as coachable as possible, and play whatever position the coach wants you to play. I guess I wouldn't think about it in that regard, like, hey, you're going to play shortstop, or you're going to play, point guard, or you're going to play quarterback. Like, that's just not how I think about team sports. Boom. Daniel O'Connell. I think the quarterback lifts are the same as what's great for any football player. Anything that's building explosion and power, certainly cleans, squats, deadlifts, building up the shoulders, all those types of things. I think more holistically when I think weight room than I do, go in there and try to 1 rep max bench press, stuff like that does not impress me. But going in there, making significant improvements in your explosiveness and powerful and your power are what I look for in the weight room. Mike, what is your favorite offensive scheme and why? Ooh, Mike. What is my favorite offensive scheme? What does offensive scheme mean? Like offensive style or like offensive play? This is going to be probably a unsatisfactory or like underwhelming answer, so I apologize. But my favorite offensive scheme is really whatever gets the best player the ball most consistently, doing what they like to do and that they can do. I know that's kind of a crummy answer, but like, if we have a great running back who runs great on the edge, well, then I'm not going to run, inside trap. Or if we have a guy who, can't get vertical, then we're going to run stuff on the edge. Or if we've got a guy who's a great deep ball threat, I don't want to throw him hitches or quick screens, that type of stuff. To me, I don't think in we're going to be like, what's the best scheme? I think, hey, that's our best player. That's our second best player. That's our third best player. I want to get them the ball as much as possible. How can we do that most consistently and do it with something that works for our players? So I'm not necessarily tethered to any scheme. And I know that's very, it's kind of a faux pas in the coaching world at any level to say, I'm a scheme guy. I'm a this guy. I'm a that guy. To me, I like to be a little bit more of like a, garbage can of stuff, of being able to pick and pull kind of, what I think we can do well or what we think we can do well and make it fit our people, our personnel versus, hey, we're going to run the wing T or we're going to run, the veer or we're going to run the air raid or we're going to run whatever, XYZ. We don't get to recruit at the high school level. So, you get what you get as far as the talent when it comes to that type of stuff. So I want it to be the system to be as adaptable as possible. So I don't really think of it as like this scheme is the best scheme ever. I mean, if you had to guess, you'd probably take a peek at the quarterback school logo to realize what I personally like, but I'm not out there throwing it or catching it. So hope that helps. Appreciate the support though, Mike. Oh, yeah, system. I would probably say either the West Coast or the Digit, just because that's what I had the most experience with. I think that they're all pretty much the same. They really can do damn near everything the same. I think different systems put the emphasis on certain spaces a little bit more as far as, precision passing game or flexibility or, different ways that they attack it. But almost all of them can do the same stuff. It's just what is the most efficient way to do it and how does it fit your personnel? So I would probably be a mixed bag between West Coast and Digit. Sid Febble. Sorry. More games equal more experience. But should Joe Burrow rest longer before he can play anymore? No. Once he's healthy, he plays. And that's just how pro sports, I think, work at the highest level. I can't think of very many opportunities where guys are resting when they're healthy. I know it's a little bit different in different games as far as like workload elements, but if you're healthy in the NFL, you're playing. Yeah, Mike, appreciate the support. Dylan Terryman, is it easier to tether the play action pass off of wide zone? I think it is if you run wide zone. I personally like to tether play action to whatever your best runs are. If you're a gap scheme team, you probably shouldn't consistently use wide zone as your play action pass. I think good defenses and defense coordinators, coaches will pick up on that type of stuff. But, I've also not be lying if I told you if I have never done that before. I certainly have. I think that some elements of like nakeds or boots where you're really changing the launch point and getting outside the pocket a little bit different just because, I don't know, the flow of the offensive line. but still, I know a lot of teams. I know a few teams that will run like GT naked, and then it'll run GT. So yeah, I think you can do stuff like that, but I think consistently the world you live in, you want those play action shots tethered to whatever that kind of run game plan looks like for that week, that opponent, that system, whatever you're doing that year. So that's how I think about it. All right, last one here. Simon, the lucky one. Protection call at the line. What does the QB call and what does the center call? It depends on the offense, Simon. Been in systems where the quarterback's making the mic call. Been in systems where the center's making the mic call. Been in systems where the center is telling every single person at the line of scrimmage what they're doing. I've also been in systems where the center and the quarterback don't have to say anything, and that everyone can predetermine what the number count is based on where guys are and how they have their system set up. At the high school level, for the team that I coach at, the center makes the majority of the calls. I'm trying to think if there's ever a time the quarterback would override a call. Not really. We probably do a little bit more peak tempo stuff where the guys will turn and look to me and I'll make changes and I'll kind of holler if we're going to change the protection at the line of scrimmage. So I kind of take that role away from the quarterback. I would love to be able to give it back to a quarterback at some point, but that takes a lot of trust on a bunch of different levels. And it's just easier at the high school level out here specifically. Like we're not in, stadiums of, 40,000 people that they can't hear me from the sideline. So if I yell, something, they can just hear it or signal it. So we can make the adjustments from there. It just takes something off their plate they don't have to worry about. So I would say the center and then the coach. All right, y'all. Appreciate it. Hopefully you enjoyed a little Wednesday live special. Tomorrow, De'Ara King. Friday, we'll see. Again, I appreciate the support. I will see you next time. Have a good one.
Nope.